I'm excited for this panel. You see all these great faces with me. We're bringing back three of our guests. You see my good friend Carlos Garcia, who's done a lot of co-hosting with me over the years here. So welcome back to a mental health break. We have a special show ahead. I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves here, starting with top left here.
Am I top left?
I think you're top left.
Okay, hi. My name is Gabriella Kushel. I am an LMSW and one of Vin's friends from college, University of Tampa.
All right. Anyone is fine.
I'll go. Hi, I'm Tammy Keykafer. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I met Vincent a long time ago, a few years ago on his podcast. So glad to be here.
I'm Alec Rubenstein. I'm the least qualified person on the panel. I'm a real estate attorney in New York City. I've known Vin since I was, I don't know how, probably 15, 20 years at this point. So longtime friend, and looking forward to speaking with everybody.
I'm Carlos Garcia. Yeah, co-hosting today with Vince. We've known each other for about 6 years, huh, Vince? I think I came on your mental health podcast quite a number of years ago and sort of sponsored it for a little bit. And so I'm a licensed psychologist here in the Tampa, Florida area.
Yep. And Alec, everybody's story is the great story for this show. You're all here for a reason because they really shared their vulnerable moments. They shared the hard parts of the day-to-day that we all go through. We're going to start by revisiting all these past shows. Then we'll circle back with the latest and greatest in the world and some tips for success. Gab came on season 7, episode 1. I had a baby in the height of COVID. Let's go back to that.
Yes. Wow. You know, it's funny. I listened back to the podcast recently, and so much has changed in 3 years. You know, I have another baby girl, so I have 2 girls now, and the baby on the podcast is now a 4-year-old. So, you know, really crazy to listen to. And honestly, it was nice to see like the professional and the personal growth personally. But yeah, very hard thing to go through having a baby during a pandemic.
No
The
kidding.
narrative has definitely changed now that life is back to normal. So it was interesting to listen that we really were in the height of it at that point.
When we were back in that time, like, walk us through that process again, like actually finally leaving the house and having this baby during COVID.
Yeah, so when I had my daughter Lily, she was born May 2020, so the world shut down March. And you know, I had my doctor saying to me, you're gonna have this baby by yourself, so like go home and sit with that and digest it. And really what ended up happening was a week before I had the baby, my husband was allowed in the room, so I always say she waited for him to come and be with me. And you know, it was just so intense. You know, nobody knew what anything was. We were being very, very careful with her. So this time around, it felt amazing to have a baby in like normal lifestyle. You know, my parents came to the hospital and my sisters got to see, no one met her 6 feet apart. So that was really a wonderful thing to experience after experiencing, you know, going through COVID. But, you know, funny enough, now she's 4 and she's asking me, we call my mom Lovey. Were Lovey and Pop at the hospital? You know, and I had to tell her, like, no, you know, nobody was allowed with us. And my husband couldn't even leave the room. So really, once we got home, the navigation of like trying to figure out, you know, what is normal and what's not, I feel like we're still trying to figure it out, but it's gotten a lot better.
Well, you're doing a great job, and I'm so grateful you came on the show to help all those people you did with that episode that's still streaming. All 3 of these episodes are high. Alec also had a baby recently. Carlos looked into his journey, thought there was some overlap there. Carlos, let you take it away.
Yeah, like I heard I heard your podcast. I thought it was great as a sort of new father myself and someone that's always sort of trying to balance that home life with that life of being a professional, right? That sort of achiever type mentality. So I'm kind of curious, what looking back on that experience for yourself, what have you gleaned? Like maybe some tips you can give folks who are constantly navigating that professional personal life balance.
Yeah, it's funny. I listened back to my episode as well, and I had that reaction of like, who was that guy even talking? Like
Yeah.
things have changed so much, even just in the past few months. My daughter is now, I think, 16 months, so she started recently talking and walking, and we have to keep an eye on her at all times now. So everything is kind of evolving on like a day by day basis at this point. But I mean, I think one of the things that I have done, and it's one of the things I really struggled with in the past, was really being very aware of perspective. When I get very bogged down and stressed with work, it kind of overwhelms me at times. And since my daughter came along, it's actually been a really good physical reminder that there are other important things in life. And so whenever I commute to the city every day, and whenever I come home, I do get that very tangible break and kind of blast with perspective when I see her. So that has been a really nice reminder to kind of just like audit myself a little bit when I get home. It acts as a nice, I think sometimes when work is the only thing, you have to kind of manufacture that break for yourself in order to keep kind of sane mind. And so since my daughter came along, it's kind of really forced me to step out of work sometimes. And believe it or not, it helps in a way, because when I do, come home, we feed her, we put her down for bed and everything, we hang out a little bit. When I get back to my desk and I check in, I'm refreshed. I have, all of that like kind of wear and tear from the day kind of has faded at that point. So that's been a nice change, and it's kind of forced me to really take stock of my life and my day when the days get a little challenging from a professional perspective.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I can totally relate. It's amazing. Parents had told me this before I had my child too, that there's right, like no matter how exhausted you are at the end of the day, you walk through that door and all of a sudden you're ready to be present. So yeah,
Yep.
beautiful. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
And Alec, it's great to see as someone I grew up with, just how great he's doing. Now he's got his kid doing so well, staying on top of his mental health. Thank you for coming back again. And Carlos and Tammy, I wish I could say this. I remember hooking you guys up, and that's why I paired you up. But it is some cool overlap that they've had a past connection. Tammy came back on the show. Her episode, season 11, episode 1, preparing for the jungle, avoiding snakes and pitfalls on the path to healthy love. That's also part of her book. She's got an awesome practice. Tammy, it's great to see you. Let's go back in time to that episode now, about 2 years old almost.
Thank you. So first, congratulations to you guys on your babies. I think that's
Yeah, all three of
definitely
them.
the most. So yeah, that's the most rewarding part of my life, is being a mom, for sure. So, yeah. So I listened to that episode, and like you guys just listening, going, "Who is that?" That there's. Did I say that? I don't remember saying that. And so it's fun to go back and listen to that. But, yep, preparing for the jungle is sort of transforming into a get relationship ready. Basically, the whole point is that you just need to check in with yourself, know what your just your how you grew up, what was role modeled to you, things that you dealt with and went through in your life is what you bring into your relationship. And if you're out there in the dating world, if you don't figure yourself out first, then you aren't going to be available for a healthy relationship. And I had to learn that myself. So definitely going through all of that myself brought me to writing the book and putting a course together. So I'm a counselor doing couples counseling, and I was doing couples counseling while I was going through a divorce, and it was mortifying and like, okay, do as I say, but not as I do. And it's just kind of a an eye opener. And that's, I think, where I was like, man, I've just, it takes two to stay married, and it takes two to get divorced. And I definitely had to step back and take a look at what I was bringing to the table. And it was eye opening, but it's helped me get to the place where I'm now remarried and probably in one of the healthiest relationships ever. So I believe in it 100%.
Well, congratulations on continuing to grow and make a big difference. As you said, something that's new is that course. Let's talk a little bit about that, how you're helping people that way.
Well, it's a long process. I'll try to condense it. So I've always wanted to write a book. I started writing a book and I'm like, this is really hard. So I think I'm going to do an online course. So then I did that. And then I was like, I have to market this thing. And in school, they don't teach you anything about business and marketing. So in the last maybe 2 years, I mean, I didn't even know what a beta program was. I didn't know anything. My advertising, you remember those things where you had like a piece of paper with the little things on the bottom and you rip it off and then you call the person? That was my marketing. So I've come a long way, but yeah, I've got the online course and it has videos and worksheets because I think people just learn differently. And I offer more of an individual, unique approach with the course, but the book is definitely out there for people that like to read. So yeah.
I love it. Well, let's plug you while we're on you right now. Where can we find all this great stuff online?
The best way is probably my website. It's healthyhealing.net. And there's lots of articles and blogs and the book and the course and all the things.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for coming on. And while we're going around the horn, Carlos has an awesome practice I want to shed some light on. He was kind enough to co-host today. Let's talk about some of the work you do. And he also, not limited to, he's been branching out, crushing it all around the country. So let's talk a little bit. What's the latest for you, Carlos?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so we have a wonderful striving practice here in Tampa, Florida. Have just like the most amazing team of therapists, working with our community around any sort of mental health and wellness issues. And yeah, I've been traveling a lot, sort of getting the message out there about the importance of mental health and mental wellness, not just for us personally, but also professionally. And so sort of this is the first place I make this announcement. Only a few people know about this, but I just wrote a book. It's called The Unseen Journey. Awakening curiosity and trust in the corporate world. And essentially, it's a message to corporate America to go to therapy, right? To sort of like you were saying, Tammy, to do that inner work so that we can show up better as professionals, as leaders. And so that should be coming out here in a couple of weeks.
Well, I'm very proud of you. Congratulations.
Congrats.
Carlos has done the work, putting it out there again and again, always making a difference. But Rui, I'm excited now to shed more on what we talked about before. Now you're a new dad, you're working from home, you're feeling refreshed. How does all that play with your mental health?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think a common thread you'll probably hear from anyone you speak to on the topic. I'm the work in progress, man. I am a bit of a crash dummy in that sense, right? Like I'm always trying new things to make myself feel better, more in control. I think, any new parent can probably relate in that when you have a kid, everything else seems to kind of just be hanging by a thread. And not in like a doom and gloom sense. It's just things that you would normally pay more attention to. You just can't anymore. And for great reason, right? Like I think when you have a child, like 99% of your attention should be going to the child, right? But there's been drawbacks and there's been great moments and great moments of kind of like revelation and things like that. Like I said, like I think I used to, and I believe I talked about this on the episode with you. Like I used to get very sucked into work, and it would affect everything. It would affect my relationship with my wife. It would affect my relationship with my family. And affect just my kind of day-to-day interactions. There were moments where I kind of talked about it. I had this indifferent attitude, right? Like I just didn't show a lot of emotion one way or the other. It was kind of just like an autopilot when I was stressed with work. And now I've kind of taken stock of that. And again, like having a kid, you got to act silly all the time. So I've kind of been able to check that a little bit. But but I think, yeah, I think the perspective thing has been the biggest thing in the past year. But again, work in progress. Work is really stressful. I'm kind of climbing my way up the ladder now. So everything is a little bit higher pressure. You know, along with all the great things of having a family, there's obviously just inherent pressure, right? Like I want to be able to provide the best life I can for my kid and for my wife and for hopefully future children, right? So so that's been kind of the biggest pressure lately, is that all of those you know, kind of built-in life pressures start to really come to the forefront. And you have to compartmentalize that a little bit as you're just going throughout your day-to-day life. I can't let, you know, like my whole, like one of my biggest things, which is a little cliche, but you know, one of my biggest things in terms of the way I hopefully succeed in my profession is I would never want to tell my kids they can't go to a certain college because I can't afford it. And it was how my parents were for me, and it's something that I want to be able to do for my kids. And so I have trouble sometimes because that's obviously a long way away, right? And as much as I want to prepare for it and like just clip that goal right now, I can't. And so sometimes you have to let tomorrow's problems be tomorrow's problems and focus on today. So again, that's been kind of one thing that I've been, I wouldn't say struggling with, but kind of just tackling a little bit on a day-to-day basis. And yeah, I think, you know, as much as I was listening to my episode saying, who is this guy? It's a lot of the same themes, I think. It's just, I think some things are more elevated now and some things kind of have taken a back seat. But I would definitely say that I feel more prepared, I think, now to kind of tackle the internal stuff a little bit. I don't know why necessarily, but I something about having to take on more responsibility and just kind of have to keep external things in control so that your people that you love are all okay. I think that's helped me a little bit kind of do the same for myself. So it's, you know, all good, man. All good. Good
And
things.
this guy starts the show saying he's the least qualified, comes back with a response like that. Thanks for sharing all that. You
That
absolutely.
sounds like growth to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Thing.
Hopefully.
A lot of growth there. Congratulations on how far you've come. And Carlos, if you have anything to add, always feel free to jump in. We're shifting back to Gab over here. Gab, we know where you were at when you came on the show. You walked us through that incredibly mayhem, chaotic time, but amazing time. What's the latest now? I know your practices has grown a little bit as well.
Yeah, so when we had spoken literally almost 3 years ago to the date, is how long I've had my practice open. So I've had it for 3 years. It's just me. So I am seeing about like 20 people client base, and I see around 10 weekly, depending on like what my weeks look like, because I am a stay-at-home mom and also working. So, you know, I get the pleasure and honor of working from home. I'm still doing telehealth. So it's been great for my lifestyle as well as my clients. I haven't had too many people ask me if I'm gonna get an office soon. I live in New York, so Alec, we might need to talk after this.
All right.
You know, the office space is really, it's so expensive. So, you know, for me, working from home, having the girls upstairs, you know, having childcare, it works out really well. But yeah, so I love it. You know, it's grown so much since the episode, and hearing myself talking, I'm like, wow, I've done so much in these 3 years that it was a nice moment to reflect. But yeah, I've just kept a steady client base, and I used to meet at, now that I'm coming back from maternity leave, I'll go back, but I was meeting with a supervision group of about 9 other therapists every Tuesday, and we'd share our perspectives and different caseloads, and that was just massive for my growth in my practice, just having other people, because it can get lonely and isolating when you have your own business and it's just you. So, you know, having different colleagues and people in the field is always super wonderful. That's why I was so excited to come on today.
Well, I mean, everyone shared how much growth they've had. It's absolutely inspiring as a friend to see it all happen. Since we crushed it time-wise, I'm going to do a last word. Gab, we're on you, so we'll go back around the horn. Share your last word for everyone, maybe a mental health challenge, some sort of inspiration. And then please let us know where we can say hi to you. I know everybody's going to look forward to.
Okay, great. So my word or two words is be present. I think Alec touched on it before of, like tomorrow's problems or tomorrow's. I think a lot of what I see in my practice, fear-based depression, all of it stems from being in the past or being in the future and not being in the moment. So be present, meditate if you have a few minutes, download a meditation app. I'm really big on like that can be life-changing in itself. So yeah, just enjoy the day and be present. That's my word.
I love it. And where can we say hi to you online? Where can we find your practice online too?
So you guys can look up my practices on Instagram. It's calm me_counseling and website calmmecounseling.com, COM, not CALM. And yeah, that's really it. Those are my avenues. I'm like Tammy said, marketing, you get your master's in psychology. They don't teach you how to get the clients before. So, that is making your own website, all that stuff. So definitely great. A learning curve.
Yeah. Thanks again for coming on, Gab. Rube,
thanks so much for having me.
You coming to me?
What do you want to sign off with today, my friend?
Yeah, no, I mean, I feel like be present is a pretty good one. That's a tough one to beat. I think like it sounds a little cliche, but keep the main thing the main thing. I think that's, especially, and Carlos, you said it, like I saw that you're writing a book on corporate America. Obviously resonates really a lot with me. And so what I would say is that your professional life is really derivative of the things that you do around your profession. And so, there's a lot of life going on outside the four walls of an office. So I would say that do your best to enjoy what else is out there, because chances are that will, that joy and happiness will leak into your personal life and your professional life pretty significantly, and you'll probably enjoy a lot of success from it. Or at least I have experienced that mostly in the last year, especially. So.
Well, it's great. It's great to see this growth, man. I mean, just unbelievable. And where can we say hi to you if people want to say hi?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. So I think Al_Rubin. Just apologies for the name. But yeah, that's it.
Well, thanks so much for coming on. I was so excited to catch up with everyone.
It.
Now back, we'll have Carlos finish it off for us. Tammy, give us your last word.
I think that I just wrote my second book on anxiety. It's From Chaos to Calm, and it's in print with my publisher now. So I'll have to pop back in here and let you know the update.
Yeah.
But between anxiety and relationships, and I think my words would just be honor yourself. Really step back, make the time for yourself, like you guys are all saying, but pay attention to what your body needs, what your mind needs, what people need around you, and your boundaries. I mean, there's just so much to it, but honor yourself. And yeah, I think that when you can stop and listen, you can move forward. After you take that pause, you can move forward with so much better intention in every aspect of your life. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Tammy, and for coming back. Where can we find you online?
My website is the best. I'm old, so I'm on Facebook. I'm trying to figure out Instagram. I'm getting there. I'm doing some TikTok.
I saw you on there. Yeah.
Love that, Tammy.
But I've got 2 Facebook groups. I've got a Relationship Revolution. It's a private group for women with the relationship stuff. And then I've got another one called Overcoming Waves, Crucial Tactics to Work through Your Anxiety. And that's on Facebook also. But I'll be on Instagram. You just watch. I'm going to make this happen.
I saw the handles are created. That's the first step. You'll be active. I trust in no time. Thanks so much. And Carlos, your last word before we sign off today.
Yeah, I think it would be sort of keep going, right? Like we just kind of shared everybody today, the ups and downs of life, and I think it's a constant reminder to people that life isn't always about just seeking the happy moments and the pleasurable moments. That a lot of our most beautiful lessons come through the struggle, and so honoring those as well.
Some Carlos, and where can we find you online?
Yeah, so Facebook or Instagram, Dr. Carlos A. Garcia. If folks want to look at our practice, tampacounselingandwellness.com. And in about a month or so, people will be able to find me on drcarlos.com if anybody wants to book me for a speaking engagement or my book or anything like that.
Oh man, I knew today was going to be great, and it certainly even exceeded that expectation. I really appreciate everyone coming back on, giving another great show. If you missed their first episodes, I'll be sure to put them in the episode description. I'll put how to say hi to them as well in there. But with that, we're going to be signing off. We have 2 in Florida, 2 in New York, 1 in Colorado. Are you still in Colorado, Tammy?
I am, yeah.
All
My
right.
son is in New York, so I'll have to come visit you guys. He goes to school there.
Well, thanks
Definitely.
again, everyone, for tuning in or viewing, depending on what you have going on, and to you all for coming back. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Vin.
Thanks, Vin. Thanks, guys.
Good to meet you guys.
Yeah, you
Yes,
too.
you as well.